Hi there, my name is Will, and today I'm going to walk you through how you can run your own custom code inside of Kestra. As you can see in this example here, we have a number of plugins dedicated to different languages such as Python, R, Ruby, and so on. By using these tasks, we can then easily execute our code inside of Kestra. For example, here I'm able to add my Python code directly inside of my task. But I could also use the commands task instead of the script task to run it as a dedicated file if that would suit me more. Now, by default, tasks run inside of their own Docker containers. As you can see here, we have it specified using a task runner, which means that everything will be isolated. And along with that, you can specify the container image you would like it to use to allow you to set up the environment with the correct dependencies. In my example here, I have a Python script that is going to rely on pandas, but thanks to using the container image here, PyData, which contains that, I don't need to install it using the before commands property here, where I can run things like pip install. When I execute this now, we'll see that it's going to be able to process some of my custom logic, which may be useful if you're doing something a little bit more custom that you can't quite do with a dedicated task. But the benefit here is I get rich logs here to help me figure out what's going on. I can filter it by different levels such as debug or info, and so here I can easily see that it was successful at installing our library. But I can also go to the outputs tab here and see any outputs generated, such as the one here. So not only can I run my Python code, I can also generate data from it and pass that on to later tasks. And like I said earlier, you don't have to run your task directly inside of your workflow. Here I can run a language that is not officially supported with a task type by using the shell commands task. And all I've got to do here is make sure I'm using that Docker task runner and specify a container image that contains all the right dependencies for that language. In this case, I'm just using the Golang image. And then by using the namespace file here, I can simply add my code directly inside of Kestra. I can now execute this flow and we'll see that it's going to pull that Docker image with Golang and it's going to successfully execute our code. And as you can see here, it printed out to the logs as we expected. So not only can you run your scripts in their own dedicated files, but you can also write them directly inside of your workflow depending on what you're trying to achieve. We also don't have to use a Docker task runner. If you're using something that would run much faster as a sub-process, then you can do that too using the process task runner. This means it will not be isolated in the same way, but it will potentially run a little bit quicker as it's running directly on the host of your Kestra instance. This is especially useful if you're relying on a lot of local dependencies on the machine that you want to share between flows. Hopefully you found that useful, and if you're looking to build even further with Kestra, I'd recommend checking out the Workflow Components series on our YouTube channel, where we go into much more depth on how you can build with Kestra.